Welcome, Ignorant Taste Podcast. It's been a little bit. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a little bit. Had some things going on, but we got NBA Finals are over. Some major kind of blockbuster trades happening. NBA draft is tonight. From this recording, we're about an hour and a half out from the NBA draft. LeBron James and his ring culture trying to shake the ring culture situation, and I think we're gonna get into all those things. First and foremost, how you doing, cuz? How we doing? How we doing?
Yeah, I'm all right now. You already know what happened to me.
Yeah.
Most random shit in the world, boy. I could have hit the lottery before I did what that happened to me. Shit,
Yeah. Sure, glad you all right. Glad it wasn't something super major, but hey, man, we here. It was it was. Hey.
shit, damn near was magic. Shit,
I feel
boy.
you.
I tell you, I got lucky as hell.
I feel. But hey, we're here. We're healthy, and we're working through it. So, I guess we'll get right into it. Let's get into the NBA Finals. OKC gets it done in 7. I think you were the one who said it was going to go 7, 6 or 7. I said it was probably going
Yeah,
to go 6, 5 or 6.
yeah, I had it
Uh,
7.
Halliburton, man, he fuck 7 minutes,
Yeah,
7 minutes, and get tears Achilles. No, meniscus.
it was his Achilles.
It was
It was
Achilles. My bad.
Achilles.
My bad.
Yeah,
Achilles. He was the third number 0 wearing Eastern Conference player to tear his Achilles this playoffs.
yep.
Someone put some voodoo on the number 0. And we don't want to diminish. It's gonna sound like I'm trying to diminish so they did their job. They came out in the second half, were a whole other team, and they showed why they're number one overall team throughout the whole season. Um,
X.
but it sucks to go what if, especially because Halliburton was definitely on one. He was 3 for 4 from 3 within 7 minutes. He's talking he's talking his crap. He's calling people BANs. You know, after he hit that third three, he was in his zone. He was in his zone.
It
Who's to know if
he was
he
having a
continue that, or if he does continue that, and then what that game looks like.
he was
Um,
having a good start.
good
They
start
had
for
the lead
sure.
at halftime. They
Yeah.
had a 1 point lead at half.
Yep.
So like it was a good game. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people
And
disrespected,
it was an
like
8 point
said,
game to finish the game anyway. Some of that was
hmm
garbage time though, but it did get kind of out of hand in that. You got to put your stuff on Do Not Disturb, G.
stuff was on Do Not Disturb.
Someone must have
Somebody must
called
have called through twice.
3 times, whatever.
Yeah, bro.
But
But yeah, no,
go.
like it was a better series than what a lot of people thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
A lot of people was anticipated not to watch the playoffs, not to watch the finals in this case because of the teams, but like it was way better series than what people thought. Better basketball, like overall, it was actually a very good finals. Like if you like basketball in general, like it definitely had some moments where you could be like, okay, this was some good basketball being played on both ends. Like I said, toughest thing is the what if with Halliburton, and like I said, he definitely was having a good game starting out. So it was one of those things. It is what it is. They still had a chance to win, just
yeah,
didn't pull it through. Shea did what he was supposed to do. J Dub did what he was supposed to do. Like I said, overall they got it. Shout out to Chet. Young boy from the city got him one. So.
for sure. I mean, over the last 5 years. So since 2020, we're just gonna go from 2020 to this current decade. It was the second lowest average at 5.1 million views, or 5.1, which is 10.24 million viewers. Game 7 had 7.6 million. It was the highest rated game in the series.
Mhm.
But the lowest rated series was the Lakers, the bubble Lakers Heat
Well,
series.
okay.
So which was
It's not bad.
4.0, which is 7.45 million viewers
Hmm.
average. So um, it was lower than last year's average viewership. But again, it was the second lowest over the last 5 years. So that was the 2020, 2021, which was the Milwaukee Suns, and then this year, and then followed by the previous year, which was Boston Dallas, which had a 5.8. Everything else was in the sixes. So 6.1
Okay.
for Denver, Miami, and 6.6 Golden State Celtics.
Yep.
So, I mean, the real fans watch. I mean, it was real good. It was 100% phenomenal basketball being played. It wasn't a lot of nonsense. Yeah, there was. I mean, the extender did show up in Scott Foster. But overall, it was a great series. I think just basketball in general, seeing the dynamics of the coaches, seeing the dynamics of play styles, a half court team versus a full court team, a team that traditionally doesn't really turn the ball over versus a team that does have high turnover numbers, which we did see that.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it kind of rear its head on both sides, where OKC couldn't get them to turn the ball over, and then there was then it flipped its head, and they were getting a ton of turnovers. Or there was games where they were getting a ton of turnovers at first, and then all of a sudden, Indiana kind of locked in and lowered their turnover numbers. So SGA is the fifth player in the last 25 years, something like that, to win the MVP, the scoring title, and the Finals MVP. But no one has still touched the GOAT in being the in-season MVP, having the scoring title, winning the Finals MVP, and being all first-team defense. So, which Michael Jordan's the only person to do that, and he did it 4 times. But it was good. I mean, we didn't get he got decent amount of free throws, but a lot of them wasn't like BS stuff. Like it was. I think that was a well refereed, well officiated series for the most part,
Yeah.
outside of the Scott Foster extender series game.
Scott Foster effect, bro.
Yeah, Scott
It
Foster.
never
And they
fails.
say he's accurate, but I'm like, he's accurate to his 92%. He's right, but I'm like, come on, bro. I don't know about how
Man.
all that nonsense. The Thunder were what 4-0 with him or 5-0 with him as the referee. So through this playoffs, you know,
It's the reason why Chris Paul said he hated Scott Foster.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't like Scott Foster. So I think a ref that has it out for certain players and it's very evident should not be officiating because you're supposed to be biased, unbiased. You're supposed to be unbiased. So I've said that before. I'll say it again. I don't care how great of an umpire or ref you are. If you show any bias at any point in time, I do not want you officiating games.
Mhm.
It's that simple. So, but what was your takes on the OKC Indiana series?
Just thought, like I said, I just thought it was a good overall series. It definitely showed two different style of plays. It's gonna be how the NBA is copycat, so they're gonna think these are the blueprints on what they need to do. But it's kind of hard to kind of copy that because OKC is one of the most youngest is the youngest team, second youngest team overall in the league.
They're still the youngest team in the league.
They're still the youngest,
because
and then
there's
their
two
only issue
31-year-olds, and then everyone else is between the
Shay's
ages of
26.
26 and
Everybody else
28.
is Yeah, Shay's 26, and the other key components are under 24.
Hmm.
So you're looking at how they grow, but you're also looking at their issue is going to be contracts.
Yep.
I think in the next 2 years, that's what's going to be keeping that core together is their contract situation, which is going to be how that is, which is cool. Indiana, it's going to be how they look next year because of Tyrese going to be out a full season. How are they going to bounce back and grow as a unit without him?
Hmm.
So is this going to be Nimhard's next step into he jumped up in this playoffs. Now he showed like, hey, he's one of him. He did look like the college Nimhard I seen who was like, hey, give me the ball, I'm gonna go score.
Hmm.
I can go get a bucket. That's what I was seeing from him. So I was like, okay, now next season for him, this is gonna be the next step. Like, hey, you're the number one guard now. Like Tyrese is now, it's now you and Mathurin are going to be those key components with Siakam.
Hmm.
Their issue is Miles Turner because I think his contract, I think he's up for either
You
a
mean the guy they're
contract.
constantly trying to trade?
Yeah, the guy that constantly got him straight. But look, he also played a big part for them. So
Yeah.
like yeah, they're trying to trade him, but he also is a big part of what they do.
Yep.
So what are they gonna do with him next? So, but I think they have opportunities. But like I said, overall, it was good. It was good basketball, man. Like
Yeah, and I
without
wasn't.
those key components, there's everybody's gonna talk about Shea and get to the free throw line, X, Y, and Z. But like at the end of the day, it's still like it made a difference, but it didn't make a difference at the same time. Like it literally was just who at certain points who made the right adjustments, what team bounced back off of games, and at the end of the day, who controlled the ball at the end, but who made the smart plays. Like that's all it was down the line was who cut down the turnovers and capitalized and executed.
Yeah. Uh, I will say I was very. That was that game. Okay, was that game 5 or game 6? No, game 5. Because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. T.J. McConnell was doing his thing,
Oh yeah.
and they had that game within 1 point, and Halliburton had his calf injury and decided to come in the game, and he was nothing.
Hmm.
I think the coaches sometimes need to stop the players. Like that was the one time peak. Coach Riles was just made a really bad decision. He should have
Hmm.
stuck with who was keeping them in the game and potentially was gonna get them in the lead.
Right.
Because Hallie was first off, we're playing basketball, so to say if I can
Yeah.
walk, I'm gonna play. Walking and running are two different things. Just the same as
Yeah.
crawling and walking are two different things. Just because you
And
can
also,
walk doesn't mean you need to be on the court.
yeah, and you change your pace. Like
Yeah,
you think that is, but and then you going full speed trying to stop on a dime
yeah.
and cut back. That don't always mean you're gonna be right,
And he
my
showed.
boy.
I mean,
But
he made it up in Game 6, and he was looking to make it up in Game 7. He was on the path to make it up in Game 7. But I think that was a game that they potentially would have won
hmm
and then they did. They would have finished the series out, or
yeah.
no, they would have been up 3-2 going into Game 6, and then they could have won in Indiana. So
hmm
um, and then I was disappointed when Hallie went down. I feel like Pascal didn't show up. Like he wasn't super aggressive. Like I felt he didn't demand authority on the ball. And I know it's not necessarily him, but when you're you're the guy, the first option anyway when it comes to scoring, because Halliburton's a true point guard. He's a pure point guard that
hmm
can score. Um, you need to be more demanding, and I feel he wasn't that piece. Like he had most of the mismatches. Miles Turner had the best mismatch because they kept getting a Wallace on him, and it was working. Like they were getting them the ball down low. And these refs, like the guy is literally grabbing his wrist. Like it's very apparent he's grabbing his wrist. That should be a call. And then
hmm
a turnover happens after that. Like it's happening right in front of you. What are you watching? Is that a game changer? No, but it did change it. Well, yes, it was because it changed the pace. I'm not blaming everything on that, but Pascal, I was disappointed in Pascal in his presence in Game 7,
hmm
and that slight officiating when it came to what, like he literally grabbed T.J. McConnell's wrist 3 or 4 times, like, and was holding it
Right.
right in front of the red. It wasn't like, oh, he grabbed his wrist in like pocket spaces where there's a ton of people around and and only the cameras got it.
Right.
I'm like, we're at half court and it's just these two, and he's literally grabbing the wrist, and TJ's like, what? It's a foul. Like, what's going on? Like, what are you looking at? Call it. And he's still holding it. Like, ref, like, what's going on here? He's got my wrist. Uh, but other than that it was, like I say, it was a great series. So
hmm
moving on, let's go before we get, because the hype stuff we get is always the LeBron James stuff. So we could do that kind of last. I got a lot to say, obviously. I always have a lot to say when it comes to Brian. Um, but KD coming to Houston. For those of you that don't
hmm
know, both Brian and I are in Houston. We're not Rockets fans, but I really wanted KD to go to Minnesota for 2 reasons. The obvious reason, from Minnesota, that's the team I'm rocking with. It definitely pushes the Wolves over the edge. But the second reason, and it would have obviously propelled Ant, because I think that's one of the 3 people, Brian, you brought up that he should be working with this offseason. We all
Yep.
heard the rumors that he reached out to Michael Jordan to work with him 3 days after.
Come on, man.
3 days after getting out, knocked out, to help. How are you beating double teams, which is really a mid range. We talked about it before.
Bruh.
The mid
Amon
range.
Shumpert said it best on. He came out and said it on Melo and them's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He said what I told you.
Yeah.
What I said after that series. I said, what's going to be the next step is him being back to the basket. Amon Shumpert even came out and said it.
Yep.
He said the moment Ant gets in that gym and gets back to the basket, it's over for y'all.
It's over.
There's no stopping him. And I said that.
It's gonna be nuts.
Because now you can see where the double teams are. You can also that, but either way, you're less
And you
movement
can
and
make
having to
a
fuss with
power
people.
position decision every single time. But the second reason was
They said it was
KD,
the Rudy thing.
It probably was. I mean, they could have got rid of Rudy, but
They said that Suns turned it down. That was one of the they were
trade
offering. It
pieces.
was like Rudy. It was Rudy. They offered Rudy, Rob Dillingham, and it was like 2 picks. They turned it down.
Oh wow!
They said Phoenix turned it down because they didn't want Rudy.
Okay, but a lot of people. I don't know. I want to say a lot, but I would say more than 50% of people, basketball fans and casual fans, feel that KD's move to Golden State was a weak move. You went to a team that you had the lead 3-1 and lost to them, and they were the most winningest team in NBA regular season, and you go to them to go get your title, right? Him going to Minnesota, organization as for the Wolves, not the Lakers, because the Minneapolis Lakers moved to LA, but the Wolves have never been to the finals. So if you just get him to the finals, that stamps his legacy. To me, is cemented. But that puts you that overshadows that shadowing of that like blight on his career. And then if you win a title in Minnesota with a budding star, like that also like propels you up in the conversation. Those are my 2 reasons behind wanting to go there. Do I think this move makes Houston better? Yes. Obviously, they have a closer now. They have a guy who, I mean, clearly Jalen Green was not that in the playoffs. He had one good game in that
first time in the playoffs.
I know it's his first.
I wasn't expecting a lot for him because he's hit or miss in the regular season too.
Yeah, but
so,
he was super volatile. Hit or miss. That's like a coin flip. But he was like mad volatile through the whole playoff series. And I honestly, we've said it before, Şengün should be the number 1 option. Now that you got KD, that you got a guy who's a true number 1 option. Amon is now going to be running the point, which I think it gives him more.
I don't think Amon's going to be there. I think he's going to be.
Right, that Fred
he'll be splitting.
Still.
Fred resigned. He signed a 2-year deal earlier today, so he signed a 2-year deal.
But he'll be the true 2, and instead of being like a 3, which I know he's. I think he's 6'8".
Yeah, but they can switch it too. Like either way it goes, like positionless, but like technically,
and I think
Amon's probably going to run the. He's probably going to run the. He'll probably run the 1 a little bit, half the time with Fred at the 2 because Fred can score and shoot, so he shoots better. So you'll see that. I think like their lineup that's next season is most likely going to be Fred, Amin, KD, Jabari Smith, Sengun, which is a good 5. I like that.
5,
it's you're helping off Amin, but if he uses the offseason like I think he does, and like I said, I told you I don't care about him shooting 3s. If he develops that mid range some more, he'd be unstoppable.
Yeah,
because he's about 6'8". He can jump.
6'8",
He's quick, athletic, and he plays defense, plays hard. You get your mid range together, bro. There's no stopping you because if they're already playing you under the free throw line, you take one hard dribble and they take a step back, you're pulling up. Like it's easy. So
I agree. I 100% agree with that. Like I
think
outside of when they play my team, I don't want for KD because the last 3 stops the last 2. Yeah, this is going to be his 3rd stop. So his last 2 stops going to Brooklyn. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. And then that exploded, and he kept getting first rounded. Yeah, he had to deal with injuries and
the big toe on the line.
But he got first rounded or didn't make the playoffs. He goes to Phoenix, where he wanted to go again. He got with people he wanted to play with. Basically got everything he wanted, just like in Brooklyn, and then exploded. No playoff appearance, first round exits. and now he's coming to Houston, which was the three teams he wanted to go to, which was Miami, Houston, San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere that you, Kevin Durant, have wanted to go, and you've got everything you wanted, it's exploded. So it hasn't worked out since Golden State.
Yeah, it's been some issues.
It's been a lot of turmoil. God dog it, turmoil happening with him. Yeah, you know
it's
how I
okay.
go. You know how I go. But now the next two big moves was Drew Holiday getting traded
Back to the damn
to Portland,
Blazers
which I'm
again.
thinking first off, he's a glue guy. I'm like, how do you get rid of him? Like, that's a
Contract, bro. The Celtics were in the second apron,
yeah, they were. I
so
understand.
they had to get rid of him, KP, and they're still talking about they're potentially might move like
Oh,
Derek
that's
White
right. They did
still.
move KP to where did KP go to?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
He's down there with yeah, he's down in Atlanta, which I like that move
I
for
think
Trey
that's a good
Young.
move. Yeah, I
Finally,
think that's a good move for Atlanta.
if KP stays healthy, that Atlanta team is gonna bounce back right because then Trey Young has a big man now that can actually
That's a
pop
real threat.
and post up. So now you have to respect him rolling, but you also got to respect the jumper that KP can do because
Mm-hmm.
KP can shoot at a high clip.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Jalen Johnson back, who was hurt most of the year.
Yep.
So you get him back. Dyson Daniels played great. So he did play great. I think most improved player. He was a defensive of the year player candidate too. It's what do they do with their bench? That's basically it. What do they do on their bench? Because their starting five is going to be nice.
Yep. And then you got so it was Drew Holiday basically for Simons and
Or
some picks,
Simons.
and
Yep.
then KP out. Going to Atlanta. I can't remember what it was traded for. You got it in front of you.
It was George Niang.
Oh, so they got some like three and
I
D
got it right here.
guys.
It was Terrence Mann. So Brooklyn got so it was they had Brooklyn in it.
That's right. That's
Porzingis
right.
went in the second round pick, went to the Hawks. Terrence Mann and Atlanta's 22nd pick for tonight went to the Nets, and then George Niang and a second rounder went to the Celtics.
Got it. So I got kind of a three and D guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which fits their team essentially. Especially how they're playing.
Yep.
Then you
I think
had
I think it
CJ
was a good move.
McCollum. CJ
Yeah,
McCollum going
CJ and
to
Kelly Olynyk in a second round pick to Washington for
Washington.
Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and like the number 40 pick. So I think I think that was a good trade, but it's crazy. Like Washington is now like being traded. It's like you be like the old person trading team
Yeah.
now
Mm-hmm.
because like you got Chris Middleton in them there. I think for New Orleans, this is a good I think it's a good pick. Like because now in their lineup, we don't know the Zion situation, like because he's dealing with that. But like Jordan Poole, he was too busy trying to be the man.
Wait, what
Like this is
situation are we
coming
talking
from
about? Are we talking about his health or are we talking about old girl?
both,
All right, fair.
both, both
bad
situations.
bad
One or the
Butch
other
body.
about to exactly. One of them is about to mess him up this season. So like it's one or the other. But you're like I said, Jordan Poole was too busy trying to be the man. He wasn't ready yet. In this situation, DeJounte Murray is gonna be the one. He's the two. Then you have, like I said, if it's a healthy Zion, you know Zion is really one. And like then you got Trey Murphy, very good young talent. So I think he'll have a better chance of being like the number two option, which he would thrive off of, instead of being the number one and where you're forced to like, I gotta go get 20 plus a game and you're struggling, you're jacking shots. You're playing out of body where you're coming from a style of play where you were able to take certain risks, but you were the number two and you were able to thrive in that. So I think he might have a bounce back year in New Orleans. Who knows? But I think it helps them. The Wizards, I think CJ McCollum gets traded. I think he gets traded again or cut or gets released and let him go somewhere. I don't think CJ stands on being a Wizard all year. I don't think he does.
Yeah, it might be right there. I feel like I'm missing one.
The other one you were
I
looking
know
at
KCP
is
and somebody KCP and Who else got
Um,
offloaded from Orlando?
you're talking
Oh no, that
about
was
the
Bain. Bain, yeah, Bain.
no,
Desmond
yeah,
Bain.
you're talking about Desmond Bain
Yeah,
trade
Desmond
to
Bain. Yep.
Desmond Bain and for on that. That one is going. It was Desmond Bain for KCP,
Five
and
picks.
I like that. I don't. The amount of picks was a little bit out of crazy, but I don't mind that
Hmm.
because now you just gave Paulo somebody. You gave them somebody that can actually shoot at a high clip.
Hmm.
And I think that's what KCP was supposed to do, but he struggled this year,
Yeah,
like when they needed
it
him.
was not
So,
that. Yeah,
you
unfortunately
know
for them.
me, I think Geo dude's been having a nice
Geo
career the last
dude.
couple of dudes.
Geo.
Man, them dude's built like Desmond Bain is built like Geo dude, bro. Top heavy ass boy. But like, come on, bro.
He's
Like,
built more like Machamp.
bruh, nah, that nigga he
Or
looked like
Machoke.
Geo dude. That look like Geo dude. But like, no, he's been hooping these last 3 years. Like these last 3 years, he's improved. I've watched like
Yeah.
he's improved and
Yeah.
he's gotten better. So like, I feel like that'll help them overall. And I think this gives Paulo and Franz another like legit threat. And then if Suggs is healthy next season, like there'll be some problems. Get a nice little an extra, maybe another little bench,
Yeah.
veteran that'll help them out or whatever. But I think this was a good move for them.
Hmm.
I think the Grizzlies are definitely in a rebuild, so I wonder what they're gonna do with Ja and Jaren. Like who's getting moved next? Because I think one of them two is probably getting moved
Yeah, I
before
think
the
so.
season
I think
starts
so
for
as well.
sure. I don't know if it might be tonight because of the draft, but one of them's getting moved
I believe so
for
as well.
sure.
Yeah, I think one of them is going to be moved. I don't know if Ja is going to get moved out of Memphis. I think he should. I mean, they're talking about
I think it'd be a
they're talking about moving that team to Nashville or to Nashville for some reason, just because of everything that's going on in Memphis. But
Mm,
um, yeah, that's it for the trades. What are your? I know. Let's actually kind of go back real quick. Um, OKC.
mhm.
I'm of this ilk. I feel that they're closer to the Spurs than they are of like a Lakers, a Warriors, the Heat, the LeBron James, Wade, Bosch Heat, or even the Bulls prior to those generations. I
Mhm.
said the Lakers, right? The Kobe, Shaq Lakers.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, this is the seventh year in a row we've had a new champion.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, I'm articulating them to be or comparing them to be like the Spurs. Like the Spurs were a dynasty in a sense, but they didn't really pop off several in a row. Like they might have, like they didn't get
They
like
were
two. No one's had a three-peat since the Lakers. Who no one had a three-peat
you're more
until
of
yeah,
saying like they're gonna compete high to
compete
high
high
level for the
levels.
next probably six
And this is not gonna be
years,
their
but and
finals. I
maybe
don't think.
win one or maybe win maybe like one or two more in between like the next 6 year span
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
type shit.
Uh,
I get it. No, and they can be. In which I said it's all on their for them. It's their contracts
yep.
because Sam Presti has been one hell of a GM. That man
Yes,
has made
for
moves
sure, for
and
sure.
put that team together to where in the future they ended up to where they're at now,
Hmm.
and he's not scared to make moves.
No, I
And
compare him
so I don't.
to
I expect
Hal.
him.
It's his last name's Hal, right? Who's the Philadelphia GM?
You talking about the Philly dude,
Yeah,
Howie?
Howie. That's
Yeah,
it. He's
yeah.
there.
I no,
He's
I ain't gonna lie.
cold.
I think he better than Howie, man. He been doing it before
Uh,
Howie doing
I
it.
don't know
You got to.
how he. Well, no, actually, this GM was the GM for the Spurs for that dynasty. So you might be onto something. They actually might be tied because the Spurs became a dynasty. Had their like run from '99 2000, and Howie he took over the GM job for the Eagles in 2000. So they're kind of on par as far as timeline goes. But
Yeah,
they're
but I would
definitely up
say like I would say
there.
Howie's, but again, I
But
would say
Howie's
Howie's getting a lot. He's
yeah,
getting a lot more credit over the last
that's
like four
several years,
years
but
with these last four
Presti's got
years for
several
sure.
titles over his run,
Presti's
so you might be
been
on something. You might be
but
on
I
something.
would say these last about 7 years, Presti's been making some great moves
Yeah.
since the Russ Harden,
Mhm.
KD era and
PJ,
rebuilding this
yep,
organization
yep,
from there with some of the moves he made, even with Russ into PG and flipping PG into Shea and picks,
yep,
then flipping Russ into some picks.
mhm.
Like he's done did it, and now look where they're at now. And they still have a few extra picks over the next like couple years, I
Yep.
believe,
They
too.
do, they do. They have
So
a solid pick this year. I
yeah.
think they're
So like
not the lottery, but they're top 13. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
exactly. They have enough to where they can make a good little piece that can add to this rotation and not, not where it's like, oh, they need somebody here, but they can actually spend a actual pick on something that could fill a need for them.
Yep.
Like, which phew, it's gonna be crazy. So
Yeah, where are
yeah,
they at?
I
Or
don't
they're at
disagree with you. Like,
17, I
they're
think.
definitely
Yeah,
that's
that's
still good. They're gonna
still
fill
good.
a need.
Yeah.
They're gonna fill a need there.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're gonna be picking for a need, not, which is great.
Oh no,
I just, like you
Minnesota.
said, I do
Is
agree with
that
you. I think there will
Minnesota?
be.
Did they have a trade with Minnesota? Is that why? Because Minnesota has 17, but I feel like I heard OKC
It
had
could have
a.
been it could be a pick swap
Oh no,
too.
15. I see it right here. I'm skipped right over it, so I'm sorry. So they have the 15th pick, which is even better than the 17. Even in this
Hmm.
draft, which is pretty lackluster draft after over the last 10 years for sure, but it is very
Hmm.
top heavy draft.
Oh wow. So even with that, damn. Yeah. So
But they have the
we're
15
gonna
and the
talk about the draft
24.
in a second, anyways.
Yeah, they have the
Yeah,
15 and the 24. So,
which
uh,
is great.
yeah,
That's two good needs that you could pick up right there.
or they could
Or in
trade
this
them out.
case, you can or one of these get for draft capital for the following year. You get that. So
Yeah,
like I said, I think I agree with you. They're set up for a nice run over these next few years. It's just more of the contract situations for them is
and it's in
going
the
to be
West. Like
the
if they
end
were
all
in the
be all.
East, I'd be like, man, this might be one of the next like teams that are constantly playing for a title as far as making it to the finals. Because there's a difference between being a
Yeah,
contender in general, which they definitely are a contender. Very clearly, they won a
yeah,
title. They're
they're going to
definitely a contender. And being playing in the finals, um, competing in the final round,
be.
which is what I'm talking about. It's going to be tough for them to do that in the East, especially. You know what? I'm just going to say it here. We're here for we're going to take. Wimby is equal to or less than Chet. I'll stand by it right now. If Chet was on the Spurs, he would be putting up the same numbers. And if they just swapped, I feel that Wimby would either be less than him or equal to what Chet has been doing with the Thunder. I,
I I'm not dis I'm not disagree with
so
that.
I don't know where
I
this.
think number wise in those situations,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know where this. Again, he's a anomaly. He's what 7'5". He dribbles like a guard. He shoots like a guard. But Chet at 7'3" does the same thing. There's just 2 inches of height difference between the two. And I
Yeah.
feel Chet is bigger and stronger than him. That's why I'm saying he's equal to or less than. Now
Hmm.
he is a year younger than Chet, or 2 years younger. I can't remember if it's a year or two. I know they came in the league 1 year after each other. And Chet got injured in the offseason. So that's why they're competing for the rookie title. Um, but I'm a stand on that. I feel that Chet is equal to or better than Wimby, and I don't understand the hype, other than the fact that he's 7'5", doing what he's doing. So,
Type shit.
so I don't get the hype behind the Spurs on how they're going to be a contending team all of a sudden, especially when the West has done nothing but continue to get better.
Hmm.
I mean, we again, my bias is going to show here. We have a guy who's about to be 24 years old that's been to 2 Western Conference Finals,
And
and
now
it's
the actual
probably going to
champion.
have a MVP season this upcoming. Whether it's he's going to be in the like top 3, or he's going to win an MVP in the next 2 years. I'll say that safely. Ant-Man is going to probably win an MVP within the next 2 years. Even though the Joker is by far the best player in the NBA right now,
Yeah,
he's already
hands
got
down.
3. He's already got 3 of them.
Hands down.
We have the defending MVP in SGA. Um, the Rockets got better. I think the Warriors are going to be better, especially giving Jimmy more time. Um, with Steph and Draymond, they still need to make some moves too. Uh, who else is there? I
Get
think
fucking
Dallas is going to be
big.
bigger, even though they're going to be missing Kyrie for a good chunk. The Clippers are still a thing as long as Kawhi is healthy. They, in my mind, will be contenders, even though they lost in the first round.
They're going to be interesting too because of James Harden. Also, like depending on it, I think he's up on his contract's up. So on do they re-sign him
And I
or
think
does he
Drew
go?
Holiday going to Portland made them better. They're going to be a playoff
I think
team.
it make them better, but I don't think
It doesn't push them over the top in the sense of like they're going to be
doesn't push
competing.
him over the
Yeah,
top, but I don't think Drew. I think because remember he got traded to them last year, then they released him and all that other stuff too. So like I don't know if this is like a permanent place for Drew Holiday. This might be the same situation
yeah,
where it was a cap move,
sure,
and then yeah, but yeah, they traded their second best player because I think Simons and Shaden Sharp were about almost even in
sure,
my opinion from watching it. So I think they were even on that.
fair.
So it could be to the point where Drew Holiday maybe is there for half the season and then he's traded to like a championship team that needs it, or he
Come
gets
on to Minnesota,
released,
dog.
or he gets, like, look, or he gets released. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
So I don't think this is a full like set in stone move for
Yeah,
Drew
but the
Holiday
West
because we
is
can mess around and he's
definitely.
there.
I mean, it has been this way since '99 2000 season. The West has been the more dominant, superior conference. It didn't equal them winning more titles. I can't. Let me just quickly look at it right quick. Uh, I think the East has still won more titles, but they've had. Let's see. Since '99. Well, since the '99 season, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
we here
5,
with them.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Yeah, we
16,
here. We don't have
17,
no first round
18.
pick.
18 titles have gone to the West. So yeah, the West has definitely been more dominant. I thought it was a little bit more even, but
Mhm.
it maybe just because we were seeing a ton of LeBron James as well. Um, but yeah, the West has won since the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I think, yeah, I think overall a lot of teams are getting better. I think it's whatever moves happen in between this tonight and then going into I think what free agency starts technically are available for everybody
The
to make
seventh,
like to sign these trades is like I think it's right after 4th of July,
yeah,
to be honest with you.
the seventh. I thought I read somewhere it's the seventh, but 18 titles out of 27 seasons from the last 27 seasons. So that's uh seven. Okay, I can't do math today. That's 7 titles going to these.
Mhm.
Oh no, 9 titles going to these. Sorry, I was thinking 25 instead of 27. Um, so yeah, the West had very clearly been more dominant than I actually thought. Um,
Mhm.
but we also knew that the West was definitely a stronger conference. When you look at it, they have a higher win percentage um, between the two. Other
Yep.
than maybe 3 or 4 seasons, the West have won the head to head. So um, yeah, we'll see. The West is still the West. The East is getting stronger. I feel, but there's still like 3 or 4 teams top heavy at
Yeah,
best.
always. So, but no, we're gonna see what happens. I think it's gonna be interesting, but we'll see what moves happen and what makes some changes. So,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be some couple of good pieces in this draft. Like I said, we're gonna see between tonight in this draft some certain moves, and then you got whoever happens in free agency trades. But I think the
Sure.
draft this is about to be interesting. I like if we're gonna speak on that. I'm more interested on watching what the Spurs do in this draft. The Spurs do what the Rockets do with that 10th pick, and then what also like OKC's might add to their team.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's more of looking at like, hey, what is like I would think what is it? Minnesota has a good spot. And see, like I want to see what they do because these are going to be there's some solid pieces in here to go be an addition to, but I want to know what the Spurs do because they're supposed to be like what I've been seeing is they're probably going to use the number 2 pick on Dylan Harper, which is not a bad it's not a bad move. He's about a 6'7", 6'7" guard. But I think it's interesting though because it's like you have De'Aaron, you have Castle, so it's kind of like do you add him for depth, which is cool, but it's like I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't see how I don't it. I have to see how it works. Like I don't knock it, but I do think with like their later pick number 14, they go get. I would love for them to go get the young boy from Maryland, Derek Queen,
Mm-hmm.
and put him alongside like Wimby, because he's more of a back to the basket type of big. He can shoot, but he's more physical playing back to the basket. So then it'll give Wimby that opportunity like he wants to do. Wimby really wants to be out on the perimeter. So if you put him with Queen and like they can pair together for the next couple of years, that'd be great. So that's why I said I'm interested to see what they do, and then what Houston does at that number 10 pick. Like, what do y'all go get? I don't know if you've been seeing a rumor, like what was going on. I think Ace Bailey just messed up his draft stock badly.
Yeah, because he didn't work out with any team. He didn't go meet with any teams,
And
right?
nope, nope. He canceled all his draft workouts. I think he wanted to go to Philly, I guess,
Yeah.
but like even he canceled that workout right the day of. But it's still just like, young man, like I don't understand, bro. You're not you're not guaranteed to go that high, bro. Like, and then you didn't even do no draft workouts. Like the work, some of those workouts would have helped you confirm your spot, not you just, entitled to it. Now I really don't think he's now. I think he's gonna drop even more. Like I do. I
Yeah,
think
they have him
he
right
was
now. The one of the mock drafts has him going to the Washington at number 6
yeah.
because I know he was in the top
Which
3. I know that one point
yeah,
time he was top.
he's potentially he's a top three talent. He definitely could go top three. So like he could still go three to Philly, but it's still like, bro, that's a very bold move for you not to at least do a couple workouts.
Yeah,
Most of the top picks, they have at least done the couple workouts for those teams that they knew for sure, like potentially gonna get them. He's like, you're really gambling.
yeah, and Minnesota, they're right now. ESPN has them drafting Thomas Sherbor out of Georgetown, forward
Hmm.
forward slash center. Um, so he'll probably play. It looks like they're projecting him to play the center
Hmm.
in Minnesota. But I think you know how I feel about Rudy. Like Rudy should not be starting anymore, um, unless they're
Yep.
playing teams that are center heavy. Healthy Embiid, Joker, those
Yep.
teams really. That's the only time
Yeah,
you should
what
get a
we've been
ton of
talking
clout.
about the whole time. Yeah, you're more valuable when we play bigger teams that have a big, which is basically the Embiids and Joker. After that, you're not really a value to play like over maybe 15 minutes. To like come in, maybe get some spare like minutes for them, to
And
get
he
a
definitely
different
did get
look.
better. I gotta give him credit. He
I'll
definitely
give it to
got
him. You know
better
what?
on the
I'll give
perimeter
another
for
one.
sure.
He can play a little bit against like like Sengun. Like Sengun's a little bit more athletic, but he has more skill set. But he's still
Play
seven
against the
foot. I think.
Kings with
Yeah,
Sabonis. Yeah.
he can play against the Sabonis. Like the Rockets, he'll be able to match up because if they do bring in Steven Adams, like he can bang with Steven Adams. Like
Yeah.
so, he's still gonna have some game. But it's like, bro, you're not the 30 plus minutes a game now isn't what it is. Maybe like 20 to 25, probably max
Yeah.
matchup base. So,
Yeah, I think it's smart to go younger. Get another center. Get someone who um, can play the current form of basketball and it's just not like a specific style, which I feel
mhm,
Rudy's at. And yeah, he had his moments and we gave him his flowers there. Like he turned into like prime Shaq versus the Lakers that in game 5 or so and gave life when the team was just not shooting well, but neither team was shooting well. And this man had like 25, So, um, and he, again, like I said, he did get better on the perimeter, but I'm like, you're so late in your career. Just because you got slightly better on the perimeter defensively doesn't make
mhm.
up for the fact that a lot of times you're getting sat in the fourth quarter during clutch time. So, um, yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I want Minnesota to offload him entirely.
I
One,
tried. Phoenix said, hell no.
yeah. So, you want to move into this ring culture talk real quick to finish this out?
We can. Yeah, we can. Go ahead, man. Talk your talk.
So,
I know you got way more to say about it than I do. Um,
okay, a lot of people have said this already. But if for those who don't know, LeBron James was on his podcast with Steve Nash, and maybe he'll throw the clip in, but and said, "I don't understand this thing with the NBA and ring culture. We don't treat other professional players like that. We don't say that Peyton Manning's not in the same breath as Tom Brady because of how many rings they won, which is 100% not true at all. Tom Brady is less talented than Peyton Manning. He's less talented than Joe Montana. He's less talented than John Elway. Hell, he might even be less talented than Dan Marino. But there's levels to this, and there's a reason Tom Brady is called the GOAT. Because he's the ultimate winner. He's won the most titles. He's won the most Super Bowls. He got 7. He went 10 times. And people can try to say, well, he had the best coach ever. Let's be real. Bill Belichick is not the greatest NFL coach ever. He's definitely should be in the top 3. For sure, should be in the top 5. I don't necessarily have him over Bill Parcells. And I definitely don't have him over Andy Reid, personally. Because we saw what the Patriots were without Tom Brady. And we saw what Tom Brady was without the Patriots and Bill Belichick. He went and won a title in his 2 years in Tampa. A franchise that was not looking at winning a title. Like they were not. It wasn't like they were a Tom Brady away from winning a title. You know what I'm saying? Or any competent quarterback away from winning a title. They were not. Tom Brady propelled them into that title contention. So that's real. Alex Ovechkin was not in the same breath as Sidney Crosby for 2 reasons. One, Sidney Crosby had won a couple of Stanley Cups, and he could not beat Sidney Crosby both internationally nor
in the playoffs.
in the playoffs. And Alex Ovechkin finally got his one, and now he can kind of sit at the table. We've talked about it before. Charles Barkley has said it. Even Dwayne Wade, even though he's flip-flopping now that his friend is talking about it. Dwayne Wade himself, even though he has 3 titles, he's like, I'm a Hall of Famer, but I can't go into certain rooms because those guys have 4, 5, 6 rings.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Wade, in my opinion, is the 3rd best shooting guard to ever grace the hardwood. Allen Iverson is in my top 5, and he doesn't have a title. But there's still levels to this. Jordan is not my number 1 just because he has 6 titles. It helps the conversation. And I lost my point. Which was saying, a lot of people have said this. If you were not worried about ring culture, or ring culture wasn't a thing to you, why the hell did you go to Miami with your friends? You could have went to any other franchise because there was other franchises that was going to pay you buku money because he made good money in Miami, but it wasn't the most money he could have made.
The original plan was to go to New York.
He could have went to any other organization and got a bag. No, you went to where you had the best chance to win a title. Why in your presser when they're bringing you in, the whole like celebration thing of getting you guys and showing you guys, you're talking about, oh, we're not going to win 1, not 2, not 3. If ring culture wasn't, stop it, LeBron. Stop it. We understand you're still chasing a ghost.
For you to enter in that room of that conversation, you had to go get those rings.
Because had he won 6, he'd be like, well, I won 6 too. I won 6 and 10. We know it because we've seen it. And now that they're parroting this conversation, and we talked about it not during this, so we'll get into it. T-Mac, Gilbert Arenas, stop it. First off, Gilbert Arenas, as great as a point guard as you were, like as a hibachi, as a scorer, you're a loser. Your entire career, you did nothing but lose. You lost to LeBron James several times in the first round, sometimes as the favorite, sometimes as the underdog. T-Mac, I love T-Mac. Some of my game was based on T-Mac. T-Mac was a phenom, 6'9", could score at any level. I feel he's a better defender than you give him credit for. You couldn't stay healthy. And you couldn't get out of the first round. You had Yao Ming, who also couldn't stay healthy, but Yao Ming was a force. Let's not act to sit here like T-Mac just didn't have no team.
When healthy.
Yeah. When healthy, T-Mac had some killers. I do not think maybe you win a title. I'll give credit. I'll say that maybe you do win a title if you were to trade places with Kobe. But let's not disrespect Kobe and act like Kobe was really a Robin. When you look at the numbers, Kobe Bryant led Shaq and led those Lakers in several series. Some of them the most important series. He led them through a finals. Even though Shaq wound up winning the finals MVP, but Shaq fouled out of several games in some of those finals, and the young fella at the time, which was Kobe, said, "Don't worry, big fella, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got us. We're gonna win this game." It's very disrespectful to Kobe Bryant for you to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, you don't think I'd have won some titles?" Sure, you had the possibility to win some titles, but one, you had to stay healthy, and two, you didn't know how to win. Kobe and them guys grew and learned how to win together because they were getting swept by the Spurs. They got swept by the Jazz. Shaq with Penny Hardaway, who he says was the Kobe Bryant prior to Kobe Bryant, got swept by Houston. Then the following year, when MJ was officially back, got swept by the Bulls. Just be real, man. It's super disrespectful to the dead because Kobe can't defend himself. And I'm not a big Kobe guy, but again, that is my second on my rankings. Kobe Bryant is the second greatest shooting guard to ever grace the hardwood. I think it's super disrespectful to sit here and say, and Gilbert is notorious for saying, "Oh yeah, I'd much rather have the $151 million than to get $121 million in a ring." So you don't have a winner mentality. You just wanted the money, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. But you're paid to win. Like you're not paid. You're paid to bring money to the organization. That's one. But winning does that. Losing teams don't pull in money. When the Lakers are losing, that's when they're at their lowest value.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the most valuable franchise in the NBA. So imagine what if that does for the Showtime Lakers, what it does to the other franchises that are worth less when you have a losing franchise. So you're paid to win. The goal is to win. The ultimate goal is to win a title. Charles Barkley is one of the greatest power forwards of all time, but he's not above certain guys who won rings. Do I have Dennis Rodman, who's won 5? Right? He's got 3 with Bulls. He got 2 with Detroit. Maybe got a 6. I think he got 1 with the Spurs, maybe, but I could be wrong there. But I know he got 5. Does 5 titles make Charles Barkley under Dennis Rodman? Absolutely not. I know what it looks like. Robert Horry is a bench guy, but Robert Horry is not better than Charles Barkley. He's not better than KG. He's not better than the obviously who I feel is the GOAT power forward, which is Tim Duncan.
But he will be going down as one of the top 5 clutchest shooters of all time.
Absolutely, he's probably number 2 on that, number 2 or 3 on that list. Him, Chauncey Billups, and John Paxson. Somebody up there. But I think it's disrespectful to the dead. I think it's disrespectful to the game to sit here and talk that way. And yes, we do it in other sports. Phil Nicholson is still considered is to some people's mind the greatest golfer of all time because he has more majors than Tiger, but he hasn't been more dominant than Tiger. But Tiger also couldn't stay healthy. And Tiger still has an opportunity because it is golf to catch up to Phil, surpass him. I personally, maybe it's a little biased being a person of color. I still feel that Tiger is the greatest golfer ever because Phil Nicholson, they didn't change the courses for him. They extended the courses because Tiger was so dominant. His putt game and his drive game were phenomenal. Knowing the sport. Serena Williams changed the sport of women. Serena and Venus Williams changed tennis for women and a little bit for men. That's why they're in the conversation for being the greatest of all, especially Serena Williams, obviously, being the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan changed the game. And he's also the first guard to be a true dominant force in a league where it was still set up. I mean, we talked about it before. The league is still set up for bigs to be the perennial guys, man. Like
Yep.
it's still a big man's league. He's the guy who was dominant as a guard. That says a lot. But I give flowers to be listed at 250, but everyone knows I feel that I've seen LeBron James up close, like personal. I truly believe he's 265. There's no way he's less than 265 because he's the biggest guy on the court. To be that big, to be that agile, to be that fast, that strong, and to be that consistent, because he's consistently a bad free throw shooter. He's consistently a bad defender. And then look at his track record. The man averages 27 points a game for his career. And in his 22nd season, it's the first time ever he had less than 25 points a game as a season average. That is, you have to commend that man. He's probably the most consistent player we've ever seen, because we've never seen him have super like marginal changes in the game. And that's what I'll say. That's why I feel Jordan is the greatest of all time, because we got to witness him, one, be a baseball player, which is a completely different sport than basketball. The transition is crazy. We know it's well documented that in college he didn't have a left hand, and then in one summer, all of a sudden, like, he became this unstoppable force and could go left and right. Every year, Michael Jordan got better at something, and it showed. We don't see that for LeBron. We've actually seen him decline in certain areas. His free throw shooting, for one, he shoots 67% from the free throw line, which is the lowest he shot through his whole career. Like, we've seen that completely decline. We've seen his defense decline. We didn't see declines in MJ's game until the second retirement. We just saw him progressively get better. There's a reason we talk about Derrick Rose in the light that we talk about him, because he got better every year. Sidney Crosby in his sport got better every year. There was times where he couldn't win faceoffs. Then all of a sudden he works on his faceoffs and he's winning 95% of them. Okay, y'all didn't realize I just knew my sports, dog. Like, like he winning 95%. Oh, hey, I have bad accuracy in the top corners. And all of a sudden, like, the man is putting shots everywhere in goal. Like, wherever he wanted to get a goal, he was doing that. We saw him progressively get better. We didn't see that with Alex Ovechkin. We didn't see him progress. He was just good the whole time. He was super consistent. Messi versus Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a great goal scorer, but Messi, as a complete player, that's why he's my GOAT in soccer. Because he's dominant everywhere. He can score goals, he can assist. Ronaldo doesn't assist well. He just kind of one-sided to me. And we've never seen him progressively just get better. Messi, we've seen him get better at different aspects of the game until he's where he is now, where he's playing premier teams in Miami, and now they're playing in the final against like top tier teams. Like, that is crazy to me. I don't think CR7 could do that. Now the CR fans are gonna be upset. I don't talk about that. You know, I show speed. Gonna be upset. Gonna want to run a fade with me, which is all right. We can do that. But that's just how I feel, just looking at it. So we got to stop with this. Woe is me, man. You're one of the greatest players of all time. I've said it constantly. If you're in the top 10 all time in your respective sport, bro, you did it. Allow the people to talk about it. Like, stop talking about it yourself, because even MJ is on record. Like, hey, I don't really like the GOAT conversation because I've never played these guys, but I'll take my 92 Bulls team or my 96 Bulls or 97 Bulls team versus their best teams. Like, I would take those teams versus them. I didn't have an opportunity to play those guys in their prime, so I don't know who the GOAT is. I leave that to the journalists. I leave that to the fans. I leave that to my peers, both my actual peers as far as my timeline, my era, and my previous, the guys that came before me.
One's before, one's and after.
Stop, Bron. Just stop. It diminishes you're diminishing your own legacy by continuing to be like, I'm the GOAT, and then go, oh yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Take it back. Like, allow us as fans, allow your peers, and allow the journalists to say who the greatest of all time is. That's for us to do. Do I think if you get on the court with MJ, I think you're a better ball player, but that doesn't make you the great. I just mentioned that with Tom Brady. I feel that Peyton Manning is a better quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is generational. He's the greatest quarterback that we've seen outside of now Pat Mahomes. But in that era, Aaron Rodgers was 100% more talented than Tom Brady, than Aaron Rodgers,
and only got one ring to show for it.
I'm willing to say that you're LeBron. You're the greatest overall basketball players we probably have ever seen. That still doesn't make you the GOAT. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of things that you through your career you were unable to do that the guy before you that you based your career off of still has done. When I look at it, I look at a guy who's dominant in certain like, for as great as LeBron James is, he has two regular season lead the league in that category. He has one scoring title and for a guy that you constantly are like, well, he doesn't have scoring titles because he's a pass first guy. Well, why the F didn't he lead the league in assists?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, we talk about how great he is on defense. He led the league twice in steals. And he's got 9 scoring titles in 13 full seasons. 15 years, because you got to count them because they're on his record. He's got 9 scoring titles. That means he was the best scorer for 9 years. He led in a statistical category for 9 years, and LeBron James has only done it twice. And in a couple of those years, he led in 2 categories. Because like I said, he led in steals.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the reasons why Jordan is my GOAT. Because when you talk about dominating, he dominated. He was that. He dominated. He showed it on the stat sheet, and he showed it in the finishing the job and getting a championship. And then when you look at it, he doesn't have. How many wins does LeBron James have with a 20-plus point score on his team? How many wins does MJ have with a 20-plus point? He has 178 wins without 168 wins without another 20-point scorer on his team. And some will say the game was slower back then. Come on, guys. There was multiple teams that had 20-point plus guys on their teams. Yeah. Scottie Pippen for his career averaged 22 points a game. In the playoffs, he averaged 17 points a game. Meanwhile, MJ averaged 30.1 or 30.4 points a game for his career because he's the all-time career leader. And in the playoffs, he averaged 33.6 points per game. He's still the number 1 points per game scorer. He's actually number 1. He hasn't played a professional game since 98. Or sorry, as far as on the Bulls side. He didn't play a playoff game since 98. And he's still leading in like 12 categories all time. That says a lot, bro. That says a lot, bro. He has more finals wins in less appearances than LeBron James. Do you not understand that? He's won more games in the finals with less appearances than LeBron James has. What are we talking about here, bro? It's not just about. It's embarrassing to me. It's embarrassing. It's, stop, man. Stop, man. It's okay. It's okay to be the second or third best all time. Brian, all time, bro. Cuz all time. There's been what
It's a lot.
4,000 NBA players over the last 78 years, 79 years, whatever it's been, and there's gonna be more. And you're the third, second, or third, fourth, fifth best player all time. Take your win. Take your win.
I mean, mm, okay, you know me. I don't. It is what it is, bro. I've already said it, bro. I've said it my piece. I don't mind putting LeBron at two. He's been the best player of this last decade.
Mhm.
His the last decade he's been the best player. Last if you want to say
Extremely
the last
most
two.
consistent player we've
Even
ever
if
seen.
you want to argue the last two, I won't argue, like there was some crossover with Kobe still being there for maybe a year or
Yeah,
two
yeah,
where
yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
still that. But like the last decade for sure has been LeBron. It's no questions, no answer.
Hmm.
But you want to go the last 50, even if you want to say what is the year 23? Let's just say the last 15
Yeah,
years. It's been LeBron. I'm not
I
disagreeing to
and
that.
I actually kind of have a pushback on that because when you think about it, during LeBron James's run, there have been players that have because he had Kobe prior, and then he had his stint, and then in the middle of his stint, Steph.
I wasn't going there. I was letting people make that. I'm just going off of just saying
And now at the
the
end,
argument of second best
we got
player.
Joker. You know what I'm saying? Like
But
I
not
feel
counting the
that
end.
he, as far as because it was there was no question who the top guy was from 88 to 98 when he was playing, who the guy was. And that was very clearly Michael Jordan. There was no, oh, this guy is potential. No, there was Jordan and everybody else. I don't feel like that's the same with Bron. Because again, like I said, there was the stints where it was Kobe from that early 2000s to um we'll say what 2010 was definitely Kobe. 2011 is when Bron really came into the takeover. And then you get into the like 2016 where you get a unanimous, even though true ball players know that Shaq should have been in the first unanimous MVP. And if it wasn't for one voter voting for AI, which it has come out, he did that to stop history. Fair is fair, real is real. Shaq should have been the first. Steph should have been the second. When you look at the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
Steph was very clearly the best player in the NBA.
Agreed. I'm just speaking on the point of like he's
I mean, he's
been
been in
the
that
next.
conversation,
He's
but I'm talking about a very clear number one. A
oh
very
yeah.
clear number
Well,
one. MJ had that through his career.
we can still yes, MJ had it very clear. But you could say LeBron's had it the last decade. It's been very clear the last decade. The last couple years, it's not been
I
clear.
mean,
It's been it's been that
he's
it's been
he's 38. I mean, the last 5 years has definitely been Joker, but he's
It's, it's definitely been, but
36,
there
37, 30.
he still has been for a majority of that 2010 to
Yeah,
basically
he was playing at a
2020
high
decade
level
was
at
him.
40.
Was him.
The other guy who played 22 years, one, he was 43. Let me throw that out there. He was 43 years old. But the other guy who played 22 years averaged 5 points a game, which was Vince Carter. I
Hmm.
mean, but also Vince Carter over his career averaged 16.7 points a game, something like that. Whereas LeBron averaged 27, as I mentioned. And then I still want to factor in though. Let's call it real. A lot of the guys that are in the top 25 longest careers, the vast majority of them outside of LeBron, Kevin Garnett, Tyson Chandler, Carmelo Anthony. And I feel like I'm missing somebody. There's somebody else on that list that I'm missing. I feel it's 5 guys total of the top 20, the top 25 longest careers. Outside of the names I mentioned, everyone else came into the league at 20 years old. So that means they played at least a minimum of 2 years in college and were of that era where they were playing 3 or 4 years of college. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played 19 years, and he was a 4-time NCAA champion at UCLA.
I got it. I was gonna say I got the list for you if you need it. It was LeBron and Vince at 22. You got Dirk, KG, Kevin Willis, Robert Parrish at 21.
Yep.
CP is at 20. UD at 20. Jamal Crawford, Kobe, Kareem 20.
I think it was
Um,
Jamal Crawford who let me look at Jamal Crawford's year.
yeah, Jamal Crawford's at 20, and then everybody else. There's a few people at Kyle Lowry's at 19. Mike's at 18. Al Horford
No, he
18.
came in at
Thaddeus
20.
Young 18. Yeah, Nicholas Batum 17. Eric Gordon 17. DeAndre Jordan is at 17. He came in straight from high school.
Yeah.
Um,
That's it. That's what I was looking for. DeAndre Jordan. So that's my
the
5.
Lopez's.
So everyone else played at least 2 years or more. The vast majority of those guys on that list played 3 years. And then there was the 4 year. So that kind of takes away from the extra 2 years. But again, were these guys averaging 25 points a game even in their, in those seasons? Probably not. So you have to celebrate that. It is impressive. But what's impressive to me is the fact that in his 22nd year, he has a 3-point drop off from his career average versus Vince Carter having like a 11-point drop off from his career average, even though he is 43. That's what makes this run impressive. What is he going to be in? Is he going to be in year 23? Because I feel it's his last year. I don't think he should play anymore. 23, 24 years, like, come on now, dog. You're just dragging it out.
I think this the goodbye tour.
I think so as well. So, what does he average this year? How well does he play in the playoffs? We all know he's got that MCL. He's got the MCL. He'll live with the MCL. But we'll see what it is, man. But let's stop it. Let's stop trying to make excuses. That's what people are annoyed by, especially. Well, I'm people. Most fans. I'm annoyed with the excuses. Stop trying to celebrate all these accomplishments, and then you have excuse after excuse when you come up short. He lived up to the hype, and in some areas, I feel he exceeded the hype coming in. There's definitely no one that had more pressure than him coming into the league. I will acknowledge that. And like I said, he lived up to the hype. He truly did live up to the hype. And like I said, and exceeded in some areas. Like he was a lot better than what we really thought he was going to be. It still does not put you over the guy in Black Jesus, Black Cat, Air Jordan, his airness. The GOAT. It doesn't put you over him for a lot of people who can look at the game objectively and go, yes, that guy is better. But
let's just call a spade a spade.
Spade.
If you were born after 2002, you think LeBron James was the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call a spade a spade. If you were born after 2002, you are going to flat out say LeBron James is the GOAT, which we understand. Some of y'all never will ever take the time to go back and really see Jordan play.
Nikola Jokic is more skilled than Wilt Chamberlain. But does that currently put him over Wilt Chamberlain and his dominance that he had, even though Wilt Chamberlain won 2 titles? Maybe not. I mean, he still has to finish his career. But that's the difference in eras. Like, evolution of the game. These guys, every 10 years, those guys should be better skill-wise than the last 10 years. It doesn't make them better players because they grew up with in a different game with different training and different technology, different medicine, science, etc. Jerry West was a carpenter and he's the logo. That should be celebrated like that. How many of us have a trade and could play in the NBA? None of us, because we're all on the sidelines. So we have to celebrate that. Jerry West literally played with plumbers, but that's because they weren't making that much more money. But to be a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, a tradesman and become the logo? Like, you gotta commend that. But that's the era. It's different. It's different money. It's different money. These guys, the sixth best players on the team is making more money over their careers than Michael Jordan did. I think he made $97 million over his career. Anthony Edwards at 23, at his 2030, his fourth or fifth year, he's making $200 million. He's got a $200 million contract. Of course, there was plumbers back in the 60s and 50s. They weren't making his money. So I'll end on that. I cut you off, but I'll end on that. That's the evolution of the game.
It's just what
The
it
cream
is.
will.
It's
I
just
truly believe the cream will always rise to the top. Pistol Pete's, Jerry West, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Bill Russell. You could maybe throw in Bob Cousy. You know how I feel about Bob Cousy. Those guys that were at the top of their league during their era, if they were given the same circumstances, there's a chance that they're gonna be better than the guys who had these opportunities already.
mm-hmm.
I truly believe the cream will always rise to the top.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, because we've seen MJ get better and have two different era of play styles happen during his time, and him still dominate. He wasn't winning in the 80s. I get it. Like, he didn't win in the 80s. But he was very dominant in the 80s when he wasn't winning. He was a hard exit, even though he got swept. Man was scoring 63 points on people. Like, it's a tough out. He never had a series where he completely disappeared for quarters at a time or a whole series. I mean, LeBron James in that first Maverick series, was the third best player on his team. You could never say that about MJ. He was never even the second best player on his team at any point in time. He was always the guy. That's why, again, another reason I have MJ over Bron. So I'm gonna end it there unless you got something else to say, Cut. As always,
Don't argue with me. Argue with your mama.
As always, we appreciate y'all stopping in, viewing, whatever. We have some exciting stuff coming up, especially for football that we're planning. We're gonna. I don't know, because let's try to have more than one guest. We definitely have a guest lined up.
That's easy.
Let's get several that are different teams. We're gonna try to get some
easy. That's easy. I got that.
So we're gonna try to lock in, maybe even do it live. Look out for that. Again, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you can find us. It's your boys Keith and Bron, Ignorant Take Podcast. We are out.